Hey there, and welcome to my channel. I'm Brittany Flammer. I am a certified financial coach and the creator of Financial Fitness. Today, I am here because we are done with September and we are now in October. So I want to share my actual budget report for September. This is where I show you what we actually spent compared to what we planned, because life never goes according to plan. And I like to share this. If you have questions, feel free to leave them in the chat during or leave comments after, and I will do my best to answer them. I'm going to go ahead and pull open my spreadsheet. I personally like to use a spreadsheet. I coach clients. Majority of the clients I work with most like using a budgeting app. And I do have a bunch that I recommend. I've tested out a lot. I've got a lot of clients that use a lot of different ones, but I personally like the spreadsheet and it works for me. So that's what I'm sharing. You can grab my template in my shop. I also got a video with the best budgeting apps if you are looking for a budgeting app. But let me go ahead and get started on our budget. So starting with income, if you've been following along, my husband's salary, he is a teacher. Our take-home pay used to be $5,833. He got a raise, the annual like 2.5% raise, and I think he got a step change. No, he just got a raise, but then we changed our health insurance. We switched from a flex spending to a health savings, and we adjusted our retirement contributions and everything. So our take-home pay is different. I did not know what it was going to be, so I went conservative at $5,833. We got his first paycheck of the year, and it's just under $6,000, $5,989. So I now know in future months, that's what I will plan for. So we did make 156 more than planned. I went conservative, hoping that we would make a little bit more. So that makes me happy. Also, my business, we just plan on 100. I just budget for 100. But most of my income, we put towards house updates. So we try to live off of my husband's income, so we don't anticipate any of my income. So I had a big month. I launched my course. I did a lot of coaching. So I had a big month. So I took home just over $2,000 from my business. Then we also got $1,400 we were not expecting. So my husband is a high school teacher, and he took a group of high schoolers over to Germany last summer for an exchange. So he was gone for about 3 weeks, and he went through a program, and they offer grants, and all of the teachers he talked to said they get a grant every year. So he was anticipating a grant to cover his expenses and the other chaperones' expenses. They were short on funding. They ended up not issuing any grants. Well, I don't know if they issued any. They didn't issue him a grant, and the other high school teachers in our area, they did not get grants either. So we ended up, he had to pay for his entire trip and cover some of the slack for the other chaperones that we were not planning on. So he ended up paying, I think it was around $3,000. I don't remember exactly, that we had not planned on paying. So we pulled that money out of our vacation fund, and then also out of our house update, our garage budget that we've been building. We pulled the money out of that to pay for the trip. But they did end up getting some funding. So he got a check in the mail. It's not as much as what we paid, but we weren't expecting anything. So we got that. And normally when we get reimbursed, I wouldn't count that as income. But in this instance, it was several months ago we paid for it, and we weren't expecting it. It just came in, we got it in the mail. So I'm considering it as income for this month. Normally when I'm getting reimbursed, I will just keep it in the category. Like if I go shopping and clothes shopping and I spend a bunch of money, I'll categorize that in my clothing category. But then if I return some of it, I will keep it in the clothing category. It will just be a negative number. So it balances out. Or if we're going on a trip with friends and we book the rental, the Airbnb, if I pay $500 for Airbnb, I will take $500 out of our budget. But then as people pay us for their portion, I will add that into it. So their number would be a negative, if that makes sense. Interest, we made $107. This is just from our money that's in online savings accounts. Our emergency fund and some of our sinking funds are in online savings. There are a lot of great ones out there. Interest rates are pretty good right now. So I didn't budget anything because we don't use it to live off of. We just let it sit in the online savings account and add. And then a bonus. We got a bonus of $150. One of the online savings accounts that I use and I recommend to people is Ally Bank. And so I've had several clients ask me about banks, and I've recommended that to a few people. And they were not offering a referral, but apparently for a few months they offered a referral bonus, and a couple people signed up with my link. So I was not expecting anything. We got 150 deposited into our online savings account. I wasn't planning on that. So I recommended it because I liked it, not because it was an affiliate link. I didn't even know it was a link that would earn me a bonus. So our total income, $9,845, which is almost $4,000 more than we were planning on, which I feel like that never happens, right? So now let's see how we distribute that. We pay tithing. We do 10% on our gross income, and that is more than 325 more than what we had planned. That's because we made a lot more than planned. So we paid a lot more in tithing. Then moving on to our expenses, starting with like the boring ones that are pretty consistent month to month. Our mortgage is exactly as planned. Our electricity was lower than what we planned. Our bill adjusted. They adjust it every once or twice a year. They'll readjust the automatic payments because we're on an average payment plan. And I got notified that they were adjusting it. And it now is more a month, but in September it hadn't gone into effect. So we paid less than we were planning on for electricity. Our natural gas was exactly what we expected. We do an average payment plan. Our city bill was higher than normal because of water. I've explained we have a large lawn, lots of sprinklers. We've turned it down. Next month should be low, but this month was still high. I was thinking it would be lower than that. Life insurance was exactly as expected. Car insurance was exactly what we thought. I couldn't remember the exact cents, so I rounded. Phone bill was $30 for the month. Internet was $55 for the month. Gas for our cars, we only went over by $7, and we did a lot more driving. My son's soccer, we had to drive long distances for some of his games, so I feel pretty good about that. Piano was $80 for the month. Guitar ended up being less than planned because our son broke a bone in his hand. So he is not doing lessons for a while. So we didn't have to pay for a couple lessons throughout the month. Groceries, I was so proud of myself because I was under budget. And then this weekend, we made an unplanned trip to the grocery store. We had some family unexpectedly come into town, and we went and picked up some stuff for a birthday celebration. So I was under budget, and then we went. So I was over budget by $7, but I still feel pretty darn good about $7 for our family of 7. Eating out, only $3.13. I don't even know what we could have done for $3.13. Maybe like a hot dog and drink at Costco for 2 people. I don't even remember. Obviously, my husband and I never went out to eat this month. Miscellaneous, we spent $55, so we were over 30. Money for our kids, they do their jobs and they get paid if they do them and actually mark them off. In reality, they do majority of their jobs, but don't ever mark it off. So we have one daughter that marked off a little bit. And then babysitting, we didn't pay anything. Our oldest is really busy right now with high school and sports. So it's our second oldest daughter that we've had babysit quite a bit. And she went on that trip to Germany with my husband and the exchange students, and she had to pay for her airfare. That's what we told her. And she saved up and paid majority of it, but she's still a couple $100 short. And so I just told her we'd wipe that away, but between now and the end of the year, she has to babysit for free whenever I ask her to. So I've used her a lot, but haven't paid her anything. So total expenses, we went over by $57. Total expenses just over $3,000. I personally don't stress too much about going over in this one, being under another one. I look more at the overall, all of our expenses. So now moving down to the savings or the sinking funds. This is where we spend a ton, I feel like. Our emergency fund, we put $60 in. That's just the interest it earned, and it's in its own online savings account. So we're at $16,600 in there. My husband's fun money, he gets 25 for himself, 25 for bike, and he actually spent $1,000 on a new bike, and he only had $968 in his account. So that's where some of the miscellaneous came, because he didn't quite have enough to cover the bike. It was a great deal. He wanted to buy it, so he pulled some out of our miscellaneous. So we emptied his account, and then the remainder came out of miscellaneous. Then my fund money, so he's down to zero, starting from scratch again. And that's how he works. He hardly ever buys anything, but then when he does buy something, it's big. I am the opposite. I buy small little stuff more often. My fund money, put 25 in, didn't spend anything, so I have 129 in there. Life insurance, this is for my husband's term life insurance that we pay once a year. We put 68 into it, and we now have 758. I think it's next month that we have to pay that, so we will have enough to pay it. House maintenance, we budgeted 150, but we put 300 in. That extra bonus that I got from Ally Bank that I was not planning on, we put into our house maintenance because it's pretty low, and we know we're going to need a new washing machine soon. So I thought that would be a good spot for it. We did spend 235. I don't even remember what that was on. I could scroll down and tell you, some plants, family photos. I got a new curtain panel and our Costco membership. So we now have almost $76 in our house maintenance. Vacation, we budgeted 200. We put in 200 and then earned $7.51 in interest in that online savings account. So we have 207 in there. House updates, we did not budget anything, but then my money, I earned almost or right around $2,000. Some of that went towards our tithing, and the rest of that goes towards our house updates, which is our garage. And we spent just under $1,800. So I actually put more in there than we spent this month. That's the first time in a long, long time that we've been able to do that. So we have under 10,000 in there. And we are now, the exterior is pretty much done. We've got all the siding up. We've caulked it, painted it, and it has sheetrock on the inside. So we're getting closer. Clothing, I budgeted 100. We put 100 in. We spent 97.26. We did take family photos, and I just let me know in the comments what you if you do regular family photos, if it's a big production. I'm super low key. My kids and my husband hate taking family photos. So I simply look at our clothes, pull out stuff that looks okay together. I did that. My oldest two daughters buy their own clothing, and all they have is like graphic tees and sweatshirts. And I did not want those. So I told them I would buy them shirts. So we went shopping, and it was not fun. But our oldest found something without major issue. Our next oldest struggled, but we finally found something she would wear. And I think we had to buy a pair of shoes. So we're down to $2.74 in there, but it was worth it. We got the family photos done, and everyone was even smiling. Gifts, we budgeted 50, put 50 in. We spent 20, I think, for a wedding gift for like a neighbor's kid. So we have $72.12 in for gifts. Medical, we did not budget anything. We did not put anything in, but I'm still including it because this is in an online savings account. We still have money in that account. Our second oldest is ready for braces. We have to pay them, and just pay for them, and then she'll start them. It's $4,300 and something. If we pay up front, there's a discount. We have enough in our an old health savings account, and with this medical savings, we have enough to pay for it. But our son just broke his hand, and we just switched from a flex spending to a health savings high deductible account. It was like 3 days after we switched accounts. We didn't even have our insurance cards when he broke it. And it's health savings, so it's high deductible. So we know we're going to have to pay a bunch, and I have no idea how much that's going to be. So we have not gone ahead. We were planning on paying for my daughter's braces and having her start them this month. We decided to wait just to see how much his broken bone and the x-rays and all of that will cost us, because I have no idea. And with our flex spending, you get the money, you have access to all of your money at the very beginning of the year. With the health savings, you don't. It's just as you put it in. And my husband gets paid at the very end of the month, so he just barely got our first payment put into it. So we don't have very much in there in our new health savings to pay for anything. So we're waiting to pay for his broken bone before we do the braces. Car expenses, we only budgeted 100, but then we put 700 in because we knew we were going to need new tires soon. We were hoping to wait until spring, but we got a puncture in one and it was time to replace them all. So we spent 616. That big reimbursement that we got from Germany, we put a good chunk of that. We put an extra 600 into our car because we knew it was going to need it. So I was hoping to put that into something fun like a vacation, but it went mostly to car. So we have 160 left in our car maintenance. Christmas, we didn't budget anything, didn't put anything in. Our cash back on our credit card is what our budget will be for Christmas. Kids extracurricular, we budgeted 400, we put 400 in. I was so excited. This month we were going to start getting ahead. We've been draining that account every month and we were going to get ahead this month, but we spent 392. Our oldest has a phone. She uses Mint Mobile. And it's been a great experience, very affordable. We've really liked it, but you pay for the year up front to get the best discount. And I totally forgot. It was in September that we got her plan. So we had to renew her plan. And I wasn't planning on that. And that was $200, but that's for the entire year for her cell phone. So I just wasn't expecting that. So that came out of our kids extracurricular, kids phone, kind of like kids sports, right? So we only have $7.24. So in October, we're going to start saving more for our kids. And then my husband's Roth IRA, we put 400 in. My Roth IRA, we put 400 in. And then in non-retirement investments, we put 100 in. So our total money out was just over $9,000. But if you look here, we have an extra $823. So we could put that towards something fun. And that's what I would love to do. However, we like to keep a buffer in our checking account. We typically have about $1,000 buffer in there. So I don't have to worry about what day a bill comes out, what day we get paid. We've got a buffer in there. But a couple months ago, we paid for some expenses for my brother, and it was around $800. And that took a huge chunk of our buffer. So I am just going to leave this extra cash in there to increase our buffer. So rather than putting it towards something fun, we're going to leave it in there. That would just help me sleep better at night. So that is what we were doing. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the chat box or in the comments afterwards. I like doing these videos because it keeps me accountable and it's real. Like we went over budget. It's life. It never goes exactly according to plan. So I like to show you how we like to handle them. It doesn't mean that's the only way to handle the budget, but it's what works for us. If you have questions, leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, make sure you're subscribed and hit that bell so you get notified when I have new videos. Thanks so much for being here. Have a great day.